And this is Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
And I'm Slick.
And we're the show that talks about computers.
And technology.
And
the internet.
You threw an "and" in there. It threw me off.
Oh. Come on.
Yeah,
if you don't know the positioning statement by now.
We've had the same positioning. They call that a positioning statement in radio. If we've been using that since 1996, maybe it's time to change it up a little. I don't know. What do you think?
We're the show that talks about whatever we feel like.
Whatever the heck we feel like it.
Shut up. Go for the ride.
Actually, it's funny because I remember when Mike O'Brien and myself were doing the show. We did the show originally on a Thursday night on an AM station in Palm Springs. And they bartered the time with us, which meant we had to pay to be on the air. And I think we paid $200 a month at the time, which is actually really good because now there are some stations in the Tucson area where we're in, and I don't know what it's like out in Virginia, in Grafton, but what they'll do is they'll barter the time and they'll sell it to you. But I think, is it KNST? I think one of them is charging, at least last time, was like $900 an hour for you to have your own show.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. And it could be the KNST, but it's probably a particular time frame, day and time, specific time.
Yeah, I think it all varies. When we had the show on that station for a while, which is a Clear Channel station. They're good people over there. They treated us right. And we had a client paying for the time, and that's what our client was paying. I think they were paying right around $500 an hour, and they paid for 2 hours. And then they pulled out, and then the station said, well, what we're going to do, we'll drop you down to an hour, but, if you guys can come up with some money, good. If not, we'd like to keep you on. And we stayed on for maybe another year and a half? Mm-hmm. I think it was something like that, and kept going until, they had another show that was ready to come in its spot. And, the show, I'm patting myself on the back here with the longevity that it has and the guests that we've had. And, we've had some great giveaways over the years, has remained strong. It's still there. So I don't know. I'm pretty pleased with it, and it's great to be on the air in Grafton, West Virginia, and hopefully we'll expand that over time for those of you listening on the net to be on your terrestrial airwaves. It's great to be on the net, though. When this didn't exist, it was and it's funny because Slick, don't you remember? It was like the hardest part of getting a radio show on the air was finding out how to stream it audio wise. And you ran into all kinds of things with that. And now everybody's streaming video. Very few people stream just audio. So, I mean, and honestly, a lot of us in radio, we have faces made for radio.
I almost kind of wish you hadn't brought that up because I actually looked at the mirror the other day. I was shaving. I go, it almost looked like Simeon kind of look going on here. So I didn't realize that the mug was that much of a mug.
I have to ask for those of you listening in Grafton, maybe you haven't seen Slick yet. And you go to our website at TechtalkRadio.com. When I've paid the bill and it's online, sorry about that this morning. But if you go to the website, you can see a picture of Slick. And Slick has a quite remarkable hairdo, if you don't mind. It is one that when we have walked the halls of the Consumer Electronics Show or Photoshop World or any of the other shows that we've been to, all eyes turn.
And it continues, Andy. It continues. Let me tell you a couple of quick stories about my hair.
I have to hear.
Okay. First, within the past couple of weeks, I found an opportunity, believe it or not, because I just didn't have time to walk down about a block and a half to a barbershop.
Okay.
And I walked in, and sit down. It'll be about 40 minutes. Okay, fine. So I get down there, and it's sports haircuts. So basic barbers. So
sports hair, doesn't that mean a buzz cut when you're talking sports cuts?
Well, they asked me, they said, what do you want? And I said, well, just shape it up. It needs to be neatened up. And they went, okay. So the lady, she and there's various ways of cutting my hair. So some people, you talk to hairdressers, they do it differently. They'll wash it and then they'll trim it. Some of them will use the electric trimmers. Some of them, after it's wet, they will lengthen it out. They run through and then they clip off the ends. It's various ways of approaching it.
Right.
So I get it done and it looks okay. It doesn't look like a lot has been done to it. But I'm like, well, all right. I never judge on the first cut because with my hair the way it is, I know I have to wash it and then wait a day or two, let it settle, and then that's the hair. That's what it is.
So you never know how it's going to look.
I never know. I can walk out and it can look horrible, but it'll look great in a day or two after I washed it.
Right.
It's kind of, that's just the way it is. It's curly and stuff.
Now, I can tell you did get a haircut. I mean, I can see it.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've known you for many years, so now I can see you got a haircut.
Yeah. So our friend Robert Foster, who I do a podcast with, did former morning show partner. He looks at me and he goes, I tell him, he goes, you need a haircut. And I goes, no, I got a haircut. He said, you got a haircut? Yeah. Well, what do you call it? I tell him, $13, 13 whatever, and a $2 tip. He goes, no, you gave somebody a $13 tip. Okay. All right. I see where this is going. Now, when I'm poor, which I usually am and have been for the past at least 5 years, very poor, Robert has stepped up to the plate and offered to give me haircuts, and he has, and you've seen some of them, and we call them prison cuts because they're pretty bad.
I know Robert. He seems like a very nice guy. Does he get a little liquored up before he cuts the hair, or does he?
Well, in order for him to cut my hair, he's not the only person who needs to get a little liquored up. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna. I think the next one up in the batting order is actually our friend Jose. I'm gonna give him a shot at it.
Wait, Jose's bald. You want a bald guy cutting your hair?
No, I don't.
That's like having a skinny guy cooking you a great dinner.
Jose's got 20 years military service behind him, so But I'm gonna have a little faith.
Yeah,
a little faith. And he said, because he threw out the statement, I used to cut my son's hair, and I'm going like, okay, that is somewhat of a positive, but I've seen his sons, and they all have the little. All right, you get one shot. Right. Don't blow it.
Yeah. Well,
so that'll be the thing with the
hair. You have to tell the story about the little kid though, seeing you before the haircut.
Oh yeah. Well, and even after,
and you would let your hair get pretty big. I mean, it was out there.
That's the second part to all of this mess that I was trying to tell you all that I almost forgot. Yeah, but you mean from last week?
Yeah,
from the post I made on Facebook? Yeah. It did happen just one time, my friend. Not just once. Yeah. So I'm out in a shopping center, basically is what it is. I'm in a shopping center, and I walk by, and a kid walks by, and he's with his mom, and he looks up at me, he looks at her, and he looks back at me, and he points at me, and he goes, "Look, Bobby, a clown."
Oh.
Now, the nice thing about children is they tell the truth. So I love that about children. Right or wrong, they tell the truth. So I go, yes, I am. And my post on Facebook, I kind of alluded to it. How'd the kid know I was in radio?
Yeah, perfect. I thought that was great.
But it's happened. It's been constantly happening because one guy stopped me. This was the really good one out at the shopping center. There's a guy walked past me and then came back. Oh, adult guy, about in 20s, late 20s.
Right.
He stops and he goes, "Great haircut, man." And I've heard this before. People actually seeing me going, "Great, love that hair." It's last night at a grocery store, 3 guys walk by, and they, just, "Hey, I wish I could wear this great hair."
Yeah.
So the guy says, "Great haircut." All right. So he walks away. Then he comes back and he goes, "Listen, I got to get a picture. You mind if I take a picture?" I said, "No, go ahead, take a picture." So he takes the headshot of the picture with the afro, and he goes, "I got to show this to my girlfriend."
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, maybe I should write down my phone number.
I'll come home with you. Slick's open.
Not doing anything little.
That is funny. I never forget. We were at Photoshop World, and I remember it was you, me, and Carol. We were walking up the hallway, and this very attractive black girl comes up to you, and I remember she was smoking hot, and she had one of those, I want to say macrame hats that she was wearing on her head. And I remember she came in, she says, "I got to tell you," I said, "your hair is just absolutely awesome." And then she took that hat off, and you could tell underneath she had it compressed, but you could tell that hair. She let her hair gets like that too. And I mean, and I remember thinking to myself, man, what a great pickup.
Here's the most. It's the only opening line I've ever had in my life. I'm not good. I don't have any rap, as they say, with women
Yeah.
or anything like. Hey,
Yeah.
baby, how you doing? I'm a Capricorn. You know, I've never been able to do that. But the most extreme that I've seen, and I don't regret this at all, is in convenience stores. This happened more than once.
Right.
I've been in convenience stores, and women will stand in line with me or whatever. You know, I'll be there, and they go, "Can I ask you a question?" Yeah, sure, go ahead. And they're looking at me. I'm wondering, can I touch your hair? Yeah, you can.
Just
baby.
out of the blue. That is so funny. Well, you know what? That is a very interesting question, though, because when you are out and about and you see somebody, like the other day, Gloria and I, we had to go to California. And we drove back from California. The trip from Palm Springs, which is where our kids live, back to Tucson is about a 5.5 hour trip. So halfway in between, well, it's not even halfway, but we always stop in Quartzsite, which is right on the border of California and Arizona. And nice little town. You're going to find the gas prices cheaper in Quartzsite. There's a lot, and it's basically a small little town that is made for the tourist. Really, that's it. You know, and then there's some fringe farms, and as you get out amongst the back roads. But basically, there's like a McDonald's, there's a Subway sandwich shop, and there's gas stations on both sides of the road, and they do a big like a fair, art fair there. So we stop in there, and there's a woman. She looked like somebody I knew. So you know, Gloria was with me, so I wasn't picking up on her because I always do that when she's not there. Anyway. So I say to the lady, I said, is your name Dawn? Because she looked like a salesperson and worked at a station in Palm Springs. She said, no. She says, you know, and we just started a conversation saying how that happens to her all the time. And I said, well, you look like somebody I knew in Palm Springs. She goes, oh, we just came from there. So she's talking about how she plays softball and she's in a league and they travel and all that. And then the subject come up, and I don't know how it came up, but this woman was 57 years old. This woman looked like she was about 34. I mean... And she was cute as a button. I mean, blonde, just really, you know, great skin, you know, really look good. And, you know, and Gloria is also the same age. So, you know, we were having that discussion about that. And I told a friend of mine, I said, boy, I saw this woman. She said she was 57 and blah, blah, blah. And my friend said, well, did you take a picture? I said, no, you don't go up to strangers and say, yeah, oh, can I have a picture of you? Is that okay to do? When is it okay to? Because to me, if somebody came up and said, "May I have your picture?" I'd be like, "Whoa, what's it for?" You know, I mean, you know, even being on the radio out here in Tucson and doing the show and doing the TV stuff, I still would be like, "Whoa, what's it for?"
Yeah, as bad as this sounds, I know it sounds bad, but like I agree. You know, sometimes you have to. Sometimes it's okay to ask somebody to take a picture of them. Other times it's not. You know. This is where the camera phones kind of make me feel a little, I don't know, like they don't have enough, or there's still room in the world for a camera. I've been a big photographer since I was in my teens, like to develop my own film, and I like to shoot candid shots. It has been difficult, and because I haven't been able to do it. Maybe you have, but I have not been able to get a candid shot reasonably from a cell phone camera yet, because there have been things I want to take care. Because that was my big thing about when I was shooting with a camera.
Yeah.
I'm not a big portrait guy. You know, I carry a camera with me all the time, and I see something and I shoot it. And later it's either a good shot or it's a bad shot. I just shoot.
Right.
And that was the thing about with cameras for me. I had the little small, what was it? The C-130s. Remember the little cartridge? I think it's C-120 or 130, or is it 120, 126, the cartridge camera?
126. I think you're working at the Air Force Base a little too much here. It's like,
yeah, that's right. C-130.
yeah. But yeah, 126.
There's an old cartridge camera, and I used to carry that all the time. And I used to don't even look through the viewfinder. Tilt it up, click, 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 and then develop the film later and go, oh, it's a neat shot. People aren't looking. It's not obvious. You're taking a picture of them. They don't stop what they're doing. It's great. With a cell phone camera, it's not the same because it has to still focus. Remember, you used to be able to turn the lens and go, they're about 15 feet away, you know, and make the adjustment and go click from the hip. Just shoot from the hip, not even look. You can't do that with a cell phone camera.
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
No. Well, the newer cameras, like the iPhone 4S, has got a really great focusing feature on it. It does take really good pictures. Doesn't take them that great in low light. although it has a flash on it, which is pretty good. But I have found that the pictures are easier to grab and easier to. So I mean, I had my phone on me, but there's just something a little creepy, especially if it's a guy taking a picture of a woman. A little creepy, saying, "May I have your picture?"
Well, saying I have your picture, you never tell them.
Yeah,
I never tell them. What are you doing?
That's the thing. Do you tell them? But then it's so obvious now. Here's a prime example of when is it appropriate to take a picture, when is it not, if you have a cell phone, which they're always on you. Now, and I'm getting to the point now where we're going somewhere, and normally I carry my DSLR. I've got the Canon 7D. I'll carry that with me, and I'll take it out. Say, I'll take some pictures, right? But now I'm getting to that point where I go, you know what? I'll just leave the camera at home. I'll just shoot my pictures with the iPhone, because they do come out pretty good. But for example, we went to a funeral. That's why we were in California. And while we were standing there, we did the church service. And of course, it was an open casket. And I knew, do not take your camera out unless you're selling it to the paparazzi, poor Whitney Houston. But when we went to the cemetery, we're standing around and they're taking the coffin out of the hearse and they're carrying it over to the cement. It's like the casing that they put that in. And then they do a service there. I noticed everybody had their cameras out with their cell phones, and they're all, with the cell phones in the air taking pictures. And I thought, okay, I guess it's appropriate, or it's okay. Now, back in the days of the 126 Slick or the 35 millimeters or the 110s, I don't think it would have been considered proper to just suddenly take your digital camera or your digital, your photo camera and start taking pictures.
I think it depends on who's taking the picture. It depends on who's taking the picture and the atmosphere. I'll give you an example. Here's where I think it's okay. I think if it's a close family member of the deceased and they whip out a camera or a cell phone, whatever, nobody can say anything at all ever. You can't. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the first one. The second one would be, let's say there has been a designated, it doesn't have to be professional, but let's say there's been a person designated to take pictures at the event. And maybe with a cell phone, I would prefer an obvious camera. And they're wandering around shooting pictures all the time, everything. That's okay.
Then they're a professional.
Yeah. Well, it's a commitment. It's like that person has been designated to take the pictures of everything.
Right. Yeah, it was strange. And and once I think you see one person do it, then another person will do it, and then next I think there was like 10 pictures. And at that point you're looking at the roses, but then again do you focus on the family that's obviously going through trauma and a sad time? So it's really interesting. And that whole line comes up then, when is it appropriate to take a picture? When is it not? I'll tell you one of the things that photographers hate at weddings. They hate it when you take a picture at a wedding. The reason why is for many photographers, they work on a flash system that works on a dual flash. So what happens is you take a picture, your flash from your camera activates the flash from the side flashes. All right?
Really?
So if people are out there taking pictures, it will set off those flashes and can screw up a picture.
Wow.
And sometimes, photographers learn to work around that, but that has become, it's one of the problems at weddings that, and a photographer, we did a wedding. It was a Sweet 16 party, and I did the video for it, and I was hired for that service. They had a photographer, very good photographer, who was also hired to take photos. Well, this woman showed up, and she was a friend of the family's. She wasn't asked to do it, but she brought her professional camera system, and she had a nice camera. It was a Nikon 70, I think, and she was walking around taking pictures. And this professional photographer was walking around with a camera that wasn't as good as the Nikons, but she did great photos, and she was taking pictures. So you have two people now that suddenly look like they're in that position of being the photographer at this event. Who is the actual photographer? And that can be a little confusing. So I've learned, unless I'm appointed, I bring just the cell phone.
Yeah. And back to the candid shots, there's one thing about the cell phone that you got to be careful of, which I don't want to have to keep changing my settings on this. Because again, I'm a big fan of the candid stuff. I know you do the pro stuff, but the flash is a giveaway. You got to watch that. Now on your iPhone, is there a flash?
Yeah, there is a flash. There's a video, and then there's a flash. You can turn it off very easily. You can have it auto, and you turn it off.
Yeah, I know, but you're like, okay, let's say, and I'll use this example because it's the best example I can think of, because it makes sense. Let's say a hot smoking chick is walking towards you. You want to, I got to take a picture of that, show my friend, whatever. Okay. So now you have to you got to turn on the phone, you got to go to the camera, and now you got to disable the flash. That's why I don't use cell phone cameras for candid pictures, because it's too many steps.
Right.
With a camera you keep in your pocket, I would always keep it set up. I mean, the designated camera, I would always keep it set up no flash by default.
There you go.
And I would turn the flash on when necessary.
Yeah, you could. That's actually a pretty good idea, and you can do that with the iPhone. When it starts back up, it'll start in the last mode that you had it in. Sometimes though, it can be a little tricky of how you want that landscape, or you want that portrait picture. It's you're holding it. Sometimes it takes a second for it to get to the right spin. One nice thing about the iPhone, though, and other Android phones that are on the market do this as well, is you have the ability to change the camera around. So you could be like, I'm taking a picture of myself, and make it look like you're posing, and you're taking a picture of the person walking across from you. Here's
the drawback on that. It's still going to show on the screen.
Well, yeah, if they came over, unless you're real quick, you spin the camera around, take a picture of yourself. Yeah. And remember, with the iPhone, the last picture you took is a picture that's going to be in the bottom left of your photo file. Mm-hmm. So if you have something that you don't want anybody to see, and you give them the camera, suddenly they're going to see the last picture you took.
I'm going to have to think about this. I'm going to have to think this all the way through, because I do miss taking candid pictures. I mean, just, keeping a camera on you, walking by, going click, click, click. And then later at the end of the day, you go, now that's a good picture. Out of the hundreds that you took that were crap, there's that one.
Right. Now, have you ever been asked not to take pictures anywhere? We were at the Gem and Mineral show that they do here in Tucson. Huge show. And they had signs that would say no cameras. And it was of product. Now, this happened at CES a few years back, if you remember, which I think Gizmodo or one of the others were a little upset, because they were actually asking press not to take photos. And it just doesn't seem to make sense. You're inviting us there to see CES, to take photos, to learn about your equipment, but you're telling us not to take pictures. And I remember in one instance, we were told not to shoot video. We could take pictures, but we couldn't shoot video. Yeah. And I just thought that was, I can't remember whose booth that was, and I thought that was pretty interesting. But now even you can go into a store, like a retail store, and a lot of them will tell you, don't take pictures. They'll have a sales clerk come up and say, "What are you doing?"
Or
so
even, I'm taking store.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'll say, "I'm taking a picture because I like this product and I may want to come get it or put it on my list." They'll say, "No, could you please, not take pictures?" It's like, wow.
Yeah, I just thought about that because, and this was years ago. I remember before I walked into a grocery store, it said no video recording device. Like, I guess they had been burned. Somebody probably took a picture or video or something of them before and nailed them on something. So it was like, no. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. How are you going to?
It's amazing. Paparazzi over food. What's that?
Was that paparazzi for food?
Yeah. Come on, ho-hos, smile.
Before I go to this next side subject, let me ask you, though, because it was in the grocery store last night and saw one of those tabloid magazines up, and I haven't been following it. That's why I'm asking you, in case you have been. Because I was under the impression I had read some quick blurb that apparently photos, since you mentioned it earlier, photos of Whitney Houston had gotten out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yes. Apparently somebody got a shot. Don't know how they got the shot of Whitney Houston in the casket. I think they did the same thing with Elvis. Somebody got a shot of that. And, I don't know what the public's... I don't know what the public would want out of that picture. Why they would want to see the picture. Because it's somebody who is deceased. Somebody who is not there. I mean, it's a shell. And I don't understand that. But yeah, I know that was the National Enquirer supposedly paid for it. And somebody there in the wedding party, in the church, or wherever the open casket was, because actually in the church service they had on CNN, they did not do open casket. So it had to be somebody pretty close to the family, probably made a little bundle off of that. And it's sad. It's sad to think that you invite somebody to that and they're going to, take advantage of that, like that way.
Well, I guess we're all nosy about different things at different levels, so
Yeah.
that doesn't really surprise me nor offend me or anything. I just, different thing. But this picture, I think I saw last night. If it's true, if it's what it is, it was again on the cover of a tabloid in a grocery store. It looked like they had taken her body from wherever it was. Let's say, I haven't read all the details, but I'm assuming from what little bit I picked up that maybe she drowned in a tub or something like that.
And she was on the floor.
She was on the floor,
And she was
There's a
covered
picture
by
of her. Huh?
and she was covered by it looks like a towel or a
Yes.
bathrobe. Okay, if you look, and that's the sad thing about that. And we had this on one of our show prep services that talked about it, and they had the picture on there. But if you look at the fine print, there's a small little tiny print. They want you to buy this. They want you to think, wow, look at that. They got pictures of the death scene. I'm buying this, and they take it home and they read it and they go, oh, because it says there recreation.
Oh,
Yeah, so it says recreation in there, so they recreate it. So it was a morbidity to it, I don't know. I guess it's like this. Remember when the movie when the Faces of Death stuff used to come out? It was like movies of real people being, it's
murdered
like,
or whatever?
yeah, just it's like meeting their fate in terrible accidents or crimes, and it was just morbid, awful, and I never wanted to see any of them. They were just and luckily I have to say to this day I haven't. And unfortunately, with the web, you stumble across this stuff once in a while, and it just turns your stomach. But there are people out there that like this stuff. I don't know what it is. They like this stuff. Gloria likes this show. What is it? 1,000 Ways to Die. I do not get it. I don't understand. I only watch it with. She listen. No, wait. You're yelling in the peanut gallery. What are you saying?
I said to learn what stupid thing not to do to die.
I know what stupid things not to do
but
to
look
die.
at some of those people do the stupid ass things like stick an umbrella down their throat. What the hell?
what?
Yeah, there was a magician who stuck an umbrella down his throat and it opened.
Oh.
Listen, my mama didn't raise no fool. I know not to stick an umbrella down my throat. Matter of fact, nothing goes down this throat unless it's made from Hostess or it has a ribeye attached to it.
Well, it's even this for me. It's the sword swallows. Remember the old sword swallows
Yes.
from the Magic days and stuff like that. I was like, okay, so I hope it's not sharp, and two, I hope you don't sneeze or cough or hiccup.
The way I look at it, if these people are doing these things, it's clearing out the pool. That's the cleaning out of the gene pool.
Exactly.
That's what it is. And hopefully I'll never step into that pool. I don't even get my toe in it.
No, the closest thing, and this, I know this may sound bad for me, but there's one time I actually did have to look this one up. And this was when this all began, really, at the beginning. Because I don't know why, but I had to, is it really real or true?
Yeah.
I got to see it. When we were in Iraq,
Yeah.
it had to have been Iraq.
Yes.
And they were saying they had captured Americans and were beheading them.
I could not watch that one. I know which one you're talking about. You're talking about Daniel's, the journalist.
I don't think it was a journalist. I think this was a soldier. Maybe it was a journalist, but they had him in like a orange jumpsuit, like a prison jumpsuit. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
and they had him in the we're going to kill him, and they literally but the guy, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I was like, did they really? And they did behead him. The thing that bothered me about it was it wasn't an execution. It was a torture. Here's why. The way I describe it is, won't go into detail, they sawed his head off.
Yeah.
So that's not an execution.
This all happened live.
Yeah.
And luckily I have to say I think I was lucky at that point to not see that. I made every effort not to see that because it's just and I'll be honest with you. I mean, back in my early days, I did makeup effects. I worked on a few films and I created some really grotesque looking stuff, some horrible stuff, but the reality of it is this is somebody's child. This is somebody's father, possibly. And this person is a person. It's not a visual effect. It's not it's not somebody who, it said, okay, make a plaster cast. Done that way. This is some real brutality. And so luckily I was able to avoid it. But unfortunately, the net has presented us with some wonderful things that provide so much hope. Yet there's this it's like a dark, seedy room on the net, and people like to go into it. And whether it be
the net, we had the dark, seedy room. It's just more difficult to get to.
Yeah, it was. And there was like you had BBS boards that were dedicated to this stuff where you would dial in and you had all this kind of stuff. And, sadly, this is the same thing that happens with, the child pornographers that are out there. There is pornography. Pornography it's almost become almost mainstream now. It's like you go to a site and it's almost mainstream. It's like, oh, look at this. Oh, we become, what's the word? I don't want to
desensitized?
Yeah, desensitized to a lot of the adult stuff. Now, hopefully, there's some stuff that will still repulse people, and for those of us that are not into that, we're always going to be no. But again, there's still people who will go to that dark section of the internet that is still there, and then
No, I was just going to say, it's always been and this is a personal thing, and we don't have to debate that. I was just saying, it's always been my position in life that I personally want the world to become desensitized to nudity and naturality, let's say. Instead of seeing, they're naked and they're running down the street, it's just like, oh, nude, okay.
I'm fine I'm as fine as long as it doesn't involve kids or animals.
Well, yeah.
If it's grown-ups, fine. And if it's sexual or non-sexual, fine.
But I'm even going it's farther than that. It's like, it's somebody's walking around naked, it's a body. That's the way I've always wanted to approach life.
Although that can be very, very shocking. It's when you don't plan on seeing it, it's pretty damn shocking.
Now, granted, there are some, as we make the old joke about, spandex, there should be a license. Some people should never be naked.
And some people should never wear leotards.
Well. Huh?
Some people should never wear leotards.
Yeah. But when people are just like shocked, they're like, oh, they're naked. I'm just like, but to me, it's a body.
Yeah.
It's just a body.
Yeah.
Almost everybody kind of looks the same like that.
Let me tell you the most inappropriate thing, though, to say when you meet somebody naked for the first time. I went to go visit my mom's boss, who we used to go flying together. And we'd do aerobatics, so go over to Lake Matthews in California. And it was a blast, And so one day I went there, and we were going to go flying in the afternoon. And I went to go to their work at 10:30. And apparently he was down in the gym. He'd been there since 5 and went to go work at the gym. So the security guy says, oh, I'll take you down to the gym. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what he was doing down there. I guess he was working out. And they opened the door. I turn a corner, and he's standing there stark naked. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, what do you say? He goes, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, it's good. And he puts his hand out, shake my hand, and I put my hand out. I go, hey, good to see you. It's like, that's probably the wrong thing to say.
It depends on how they approach it from like your school age, because I remember, I think it was junior high was the first time that, it's gym class and everybody's in, it's a gym and the dressing room and everybody's naked. How do you approach that? It's like, all right, I'm about to cross the threshold first time. Here we go. You walk in there. Hi, guys. How you doing? And there's the community shower,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I was one of those kids that always wore my underwear to the shower. I think
Did you really?
Oh yeah, I wasn't getting naked. Nope.
Because even I lived in a dorm in high school. I lived in a dorm in West Germany at the time. It was West Germany, and we had again the community shower there. So it was like you come out of your room. It was like barracks, like a military barracks. You come out of your room, and you got something on because everybody could see up and down the hallway. But then once you get into the shower room, everybody's, voila. So.
And hopefully nobody has a cell cam.
Yeah. Well, no, at the time we didn't. I'm talking in the 77 to 79.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So I was just bringing it right back around. I was like, yeah, how are we going to bring this right back?
although now, since everybody does have a cell cam and everybody feels the need to have their phone with them all the time in case it rings, you can see that happening in the shower. Hey, I'm just washing. How you doing?
Oh, yeah. I called somebody the other day and the shower water was on. And, right away he said, hey, you know what? I'll just call you back. He's like, okay.
Video call?
I'm like, no.
Was it FaceTime?
Thank God, no. I don't want that.
Speaking of tech and the phone and stuff that you got now, early before we started the show, Andy was panning around with his camera in the Tech Talk Radio studios there.
Yeah.
The garage. What's that? Do you have a tablet on the table or something? What is that?
Tablet on the table. Do I have
In front of you. I thought you panned down and to your
No,
right.
actually, what you're looking at is a very tiny monitor.
Oh, okay.
Although my daughter last night bought herself a new laptop, and I thought she was going to get an Ultrabook. Ended up getting herself an HP. Isn't it? It's an HP, right? It's a nice little HP, 6 gigabytes of RAM.
Is it Scarlett?
Windows 7, yeah, Scarlett. You know, I'm still waiting for her to buy her own car, but instead she bought a laptop. So I told her mom, I said, you know, when she asked for a ride, now we're going to tell her, well, just hop on your laptop, go to work.
Ouch.
But she's got
Yeah,
it for
is she
she
home?
got it for school. What's that?
Is she home?
Yes, she is.
Does she want to tell us what she got?
But she's still asleep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But she's told me, oh, I'm getting it for school. She could tell I was a little upset that she wasn't saving it for a car. She said I got it for school, and right away she signed up for school. But then the second thing she signed up for was WoW.
Of course.
Yeah, World of
I
Warcraft.
was waiting for that. I was like, I'm waiting for the gaming reference. Come on. I know it's coming.
Had to be WoW. You know what, though? I'll tell you what. My experience with the iPhone has been so pleasant. I am actually looking now into my next computer being a Mac. I'm and actually getting a full iMac. I'm just so pleased with it. I'm just pleased at how it. Now that I've got it integrating perfect with iTunes, I've got, I'm able to work with the cloud and iCloud. I'm thinking this is pretty nice. I like this, and now I'm thinking I might want to try this. I think I may even try it before I go Windows 8. So I don't know.
Okay. Hey, let me jump back to Scarlett for a minute. So, since we can't pick on her because she's asleep, because I really wanted to pick on her. So,
Right.
did she make a good purchase? What'd she get? I mean, how much?
I
And how
think
much
she-
was it and all that?
I think she did. It was from QVC. And
Oh, really?
She likes QVC because it allows her to, rather than spend 600 in one shot, she can go ahead and spend 111, and then she gets a laptop, and then she spends 100. She budgets $100 a month. She had finished paying off one thing, and now this next one comes in. So it's almost like she budgets for $100, and they don't charge. I don't think they charge a fee for doing this. I mean, you could go to one of the services that are out there and do the same thing, but you're going to be paying a huge fee. You generally pay, if you buy a $600 laptop, you're generally paying $1,500 for that laptop. So in this case, she buys it, it's shipped to her, and every month it'll come out of her checking account, and she's pleased with that. She's making the money, so she can do it.
Oh, okay.
But I think she got a good deal. It's an HP Windows 7 Home Premium, 6 gigs of RAM. It's got a DVD burner on it. I think it has Blu-ray capability. Has HDMI out. It has good sound integration. Has SD card reader on it. She got a 17-inch screen instead of the 15.5. So that way, she's gonna have to maybe upgrade on her battery a little. And a lot of people don't know that they can do that if they're unhappy and they have a 17-inch screen, and they decide that their battery's just not lasting long enough. Generally, you're getting a 6-cell, but you can go all the way up, depending on your laptop, and buy a stronger battery, which is going to give you more life and more use out of that laptop. But
So it is 17-inch screen she got?
17-inch screen, yeah. And she got a purple. So that's the color she likes. So it's funny because, one of the things you never do when somebody buys something new and they show it to you, what is the one thing you don't do with their electronics?
Touch them?
You don't take off that plastic covering.
Oh, wait a minute. So she bought up the plastic covering. Did you take it off? Or?
Almost. I came very close. And I realized that's like, you know what? That's like bad.
In the shop.
I can't even compare.
This day computers come in with that stuff on it, and I just want to.
Yeah. It's like for us techies, that's like unveiling the car. You have that plastic on there. We want to take it off, and it's not because we want to take it off because it's ugly. We want to take it off because it's like it's just a thrill. It's a thrill of removing the plastic.
Well, for me, it's just a personal noise. I'm like, why would you want to still leave this on there? You're going to use it. It's just getting in the way. Get rid of this. What are you doing?
No, for me, it's something else. It's we even got it, and I'll tell you, Justin rubbed off on us. We heard from Justin earlier. Rubbed off on us. We went ahead and we got the Keurig. We bought it.
Where is it, in the kitchen?
It's in the kitchen, and I'll tell you what, Slick. It's a new way of looking at coffee. We got it off QVC as well. We did the same thing. We couldn't afford it all in one shot. You just flipped me off. I saw that.
No. I wasn't flicking you. I was flicking my computer.
You were putting
under the camera.
He says he was pushing his glasses up, but I saw that. Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, Slick. It's awesome. You get your coffees. We bought it. It came with 80 of these little K-cups.
Yeah.
You put them in and you close it. You fill it with the water. Hit brew. 40 seconds, maybe even 20 seconds later, I've got a full cup of coffee.
Oh, man.
It's awesome. I love it.
Okay.
So
I got homework then. I got homework for you and Gloria and Scarlett.
Well, next time you are around, you got to come over. See, we had friends that had one, and we kept saying, "Will you invite us over so we can try it?"
We don't care about you. This is coffee maker.
They wouldn't invite. They wouldn't invite us over for coffee. So we finally decided we were sick of it because our coffee pot took. We had some friends over, and we were sitting in the living room, and our friends wanted coffee. And so I said, well, I'll make some coffee. So we put the coffee on. Was it like 35 minutes? And the pot was still going gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. It just was the slowest coffee in the world. And we've been through, seriously, a coffee pot every 6 months. The water here in the community we live in is just awful. I mean, it's just full of calcium and everything else, so it clogs up. We clean it with vinegar, and then it still clogs up. So we're using distilled water now. We could have done that with the other pots, but I would have gone out and spent $30 on a new coffee pot. And over the last 5 years, I've done that about probably 8 times. You even have one of our coffee pots. I don't know if you still have it.
Oh,
so
I do it. Yeah, half hour.
We've done, a half hour. So we just finally decided, you know what? The money we're going to save, and we can make our own coffee. You make your own K-cups with your own coffee and make it to go, and it works fine. And we're pretty pleased with it.
But what's the expense on the actual coffee? I mean, it's probably good coffee, so it's going to cost a little more.
Yeah, like they put out, Keurig puts out one called Donut Shop. It's my favorite. But there's other ones. And I've found that most of the coffee out there is usually a bolder coffee. There's an Emerald coffee that we tried that was a bold roast. Starbucks has some. But they gave us that. They gave us Tully's. They gave us Newman's Own. They gave us the Donut Shop one, and then they gave us a whole box of hazelnut, and I'm not into the flavored coffees, so my daughter is having those ones. They gave us 80 of them, and now we have to go out and buy, if we want more K-cups, we can do it, but they give you your own little K-cup holder and your own little mesh wire cup. You can fill it with coffee of your own. So we go out and we buy the regular, Folgers or whatever, fill it, put it in there, and it makes the coffee. So really, no coffee's wasted. It's all drank. And it's not like, you end the day with half a pot. You've got the coffee ready to go, and it's fast. So I do like it. You have to come over and try it.
Because what I'm thinking here is that you and Gloria need to do a video review even, of the coffee maker.
Actually, it's a good idea.
And Scarlett should do a review of her new notebook.
We got to find something for you to review, though. What do you got?
I got a lot of used stuff. Because remember, I'm working regularly, helping my friend with his computer repair business. So, although I did make I'm trying to think. I'm trying to put my thoughts in order here for this, because I did make a purchase. Yeah,
really?
We can start here. I did make a purchase. I don't have it with me. It's in another room.
Right.
But at the Base Exchange, the BX on Davis Monthan Air Force Base here in Tucson, Arizona, I noticed that at one time there were no netbooks in the place at all.
Right.
They only had notebooks, and I thought, oh, all right, so they're getting rid of the netbooks. Then they had some back, but they only had like one, maybe two models. And so I was talking to the guys, because I usually go in there with their customers to help explain what the technology is and why customers should buy this and shouldn't buy that, because the salespeople, and this could be true, this could be conceivably true through all AAFES, AAFES,
right.
Department stores, if you will, that the military has on their bases, the Army, Air Force, whatever. I don't think the clerks really know anything about the electronic section, even though they're working in there.
Really?
None
At
of
all?
them. None of them. But they freely admit it. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying you would think if you have somebody working in an electronics department, would you want to move the personnel in there that may know a little something about it?
Yeah.
These people knew and haven't since I've experienced them in the past year. Maybe one time they did. I don't believe they would have, though. I don't believe it. I mean, they know nothing about it. And they admit it. I don't know anything about this stuff.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So I get in there, and they have a netbook. Like I guess one had been returned, and
Right.
it's for. I think they were selling for like $220, $230, and then the newer ones were not much above that, $240, $250. So because they know me and I got extra discounts, I literally got this used netbook that's brand new that was returned for $200. Let's just round it off 200.
Right.
So the brand new one's at $226. For those of you who are trying to keep track of this, in Walmart you can get a brand new netbook for about $280 now. They're down to $280.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get the netbook and I'm playing with it, and it's not a great one. I think it's a Dell. It's it's got a webcam. It's 250 gigabyte hard drive. It comes with a gig RAM. It's got Windows Starter 7, so it's lower end. So I start playing with it, and I noticed that as I'm playing with it, I'm still logged into some accounts. They're not my accounts, but I'm logged into them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So you know where this is going.
Yeah.
Now, here's where the concern should stack up for me. It did stack up for me as for other people. And I have not addressed this with other individuals, and I will, meaning management, the military, Air Force, all that kind of stuff. One, this is from a consumer standpoint. This has to do with the post I made on my Twitter account last week too. When you purchase used products, electronic products especially, from retailers or whoever, with any luck, all the information from the prior owner should be gone.
Yeah.
And we've heard of these stories in the past where it's not. Okay, so that's one.
Right.
That's one. So the lady that had the netbook before me returned it, and they never wiped it. They just put it in a box and put it on the shelf. She didn't think to get rid of her data, and they didn't either.
That is totally irresponsible for that retailer. That's just awful.
Yeah. Here's point two. This is on a military installation that this happened.
Oh, that's certainly not good.
Okay.
Well, you wouldn't be putting any DoD, information on a personal laptop, anyways.
Wait a minute. Think about this for a minute. Think about what you just said.
Yeah.
You would not be. That is incorrect, Andy. The phrasing should be you should not be.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Because we're talking about military personnel and their relatives.
Right.
And it happens where they go, it broke. Can I borrow your notebook? Great. Then let me log it to my secure account on your notebook, and you're not a member of the military, yet I am.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And I give it back to you. And I forget to log out. There are traces, there are temp files
like
still
you said,
on that hard drive.
Traces, yes. Wow.
So like I said, I've got a lot of people that I need to talk to make them aware of the situation, but I gathered all the information because I don't want them blowing me off. They're going to go, it just happened this one time. All right, well, let me show you what I got.
Right.
This
is one of those situations that, unfortunately, they probably looked at the laptop. They probably said, looks like they haven't installed anything. They said they hadn't used it and just didn't bother. Now, for me, I don't know about you, I would probably have done a complete wipe anyways, just to be safe.
Well, that was going to be my plan B. And initially, that was my plan A, but I moved it to plan B because of this, because I feel the need to make this point. Plan A was this. Let me see what I can find.
Yeah.
Because I need to make my point. I don't want to get blown off, especially on a military installation. Because depending on who I talk to, I know they're going to cover themselves by saying, one time. Really? If this happened to me, what has happened before this happened to me that nobody's reported or you blew off and we don't know?
Right. Exactly. Wow. All right. So what are you doing with this netbook? Do you keep it, or what are you going to do?
I'm keeping the netbook.
Yeah.
And I've made copies of what I found so they don't blow me off.
Now, do you like it? I mean, do you like working on a netbook? The smaller they are, I don't know. Me, I got fat fingers, so I keyboard.
Yeah. Some netbooks are not worth it, and because you're right, some netbooks, and you should just like riding a bicycle, just like driving a car. Is it comfortable? Is it computer comfortable? I came across this the other day because I don't know if I had a chance to tell you, but a few weeks ago, a $600 notebook computer, was made available to me for $2, and so I jumped on that deal.
Yeah. This was a desktop or
notebook.
Notebook.
And as it turns out, all of these notebooks that I'm taking possession of, new and used, they're all Toshibas. Toshiba, they're attracted to me. Toshibas keep coming at me, with the exception of this netbook. I think it's a Dell, but I make them last. All my older notebooks that I've had that you got parts of now, some of them, Toshibas.
Let me show you. Toshiba.
Yeah. And I don't intentionally target Toshibas. It's just they've got at the time I'm looking to purchase or need is the right price with the right specs. I mean, they've just been dead on for me at times.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I've owned compacts and stuff like that, but I've owned maybe 3 times as many Toshibas.
Yeah.
I don't know. But there's one Toshiba that I bought, the one I got, the 600, it was worth 600. A customer brought it brand new from Best Buy. I need to talk to Best Buy about this too. Brand new, they got the extended warranty, all that stuff, and the whole family kind of switched to Macs.
Right.
And they haven't even had it a year, and they sold it to me for $2.
Wow. That's amazing. There's a computer behind me I'm fixing for a guy that power supply went out on. It's I think it's a Dell. Yeah, it's a Dell. Crazy thing is, to get the power supply out, you have to pull the CPU fan, so you have to put new heatsink grease and everything else on there. That is crazy. I've never heard of that before. Normally, it's wired a different way. So we're in the middle of repairing that. Same thing. Guy just said, "Well, it stopped working. It's good." And then, I mean, it's not a. I think it's an Well, it runs Vista, so it's probably a Pentium 4. 3 gigahertz or something like that, but because it says Intel on it, it just makes me laugh that somebody just gives up a computer like that.
Some people just get so frustrated though, because I've dealt with it, and I mean, I understand it. At the same time, I'm looking at it from a money standpoint, but they're just like, I just don't want it anymore. I'm like, no, wait. And I'm trying to talk them out of it. I'm the guy that should be taking it and keeping it and reselling it.
Exactly.
But I'm trying to do the right thing, which is, no, you need to keep this. It's cheaper to keep it and fix it. Or here's what I don't want to be bothered with it anymore.
Yeah. Well, like
wow.
what I do is if a customer gives me parts to fix a computer, I give them the old part back. It's up to them. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I don't want it back," and there might be something I can use off it, jumpers or whatever. If they've had to upgrade their memory because they got a new board, I make sure they get that back. And if they, 9 times out of 10, they'll say, "Oh, I don't want it," and okay, then I'll take the memory.
I'm talking about the entire computer. I'm trying to tell them this is still a viable computer for what you do. You don't need a brand new computer. You're just surfing it and you're doing email. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
Keep this here. Look, here's how you clean it up. No, I'm done with it. It's causing me headaches and problems. Wow. Okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing what people will just throw out. All right. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I have a question for you regarding movies and what is legal and maybe what is not. We'll do that when we come back here for more of Tech Talk Radio. And we're back with Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
And I'm Slick.
All right, so with the ability of the iPod or the iPhone or the iPad now, all having great movie, the quality on the iPhone 4S in the speakers is phenomenal. You can actually watch a movie, no problem. Although the screen's a little small. iPad also has some great benefits to it. The question is, how do you get your movies onto your iPhone, your iPod, etc.? In the past, there were programs out there where you could take your movie that you purchased and make a backup copy of it. I'll show you one of them. It's from a company called 321 Studios, DVDX copy. This program was actually declared illegal because it would bypass copyright protection and allow you to make a copy of a movie. And unfortunately, I no longer have the, you have to have a special key to get it to work. I have a registration number and all that, but the company no longer exists, so I can't get that. And I want to be able to take my movies, make backup copies of my movies, and put them on my iPhone, or have them in my iTunes library so I can watch them. Now, other than going out and buying a movie that has a digital backup, they do that now. Is there any programs that I think that are legal that will allow you to make a backup copy of your movie? And are you allowed to do that even?
Yes, and I've tried many of them. Their names escape me at the moment, but I have tried them, done some tests with them. They were installed on one particular computer, my Alienware, and I've wiped that drive so they don't activate anymore. But I've saved the file so I can try to double back with the companies later and maybe do some reviews on them. But yes, they will take the movie off the DVD and put it in various formats so you can copy it to your phone or your whatever. And it's not for, it's for personal use.
Right.
So it's clear.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't want these movies to go out to, obviously, the net. That's not what I'm all about. I just want to be able to watch my movies. I've got Shaun of the Dead. I don't have a digital copy of it. I'd love to put it on my phone. So if I'm bored at work or, just maybe Gloria's driving or we're going somewhere, I can pop the movie in and watch it. But
Now, I will say this about the electronic copy since you mentioned this. I am anti-electronic copy. Here's why. Hear me out, but I got a strong point about this, and it's a warning for everyone else. I was given as a gift a copy of Star Trek, the latest version. Was it 2009?
Right. Right.
Given a copy of it as a gift. Great. It said on the package, electronic copy included. All right. So you had a choice of making either a WMV, which is a Windows Media File version of it, or the QuickTime, which is the Apple version.
The Apple version, yeah.
Okay. So I did that. I went through the procedure, and I have a legal, valid electronic copy of the movie that I could play on, my personal device whenever I want.
Right.
And I think I chose just for whatever. I think I chose WMV. So let's just go with that.
Okay.
When it came time to move that file from one computer to another, not copy, move.
Right.
I don't want to watch it on this device anymore. I want to watch it on this one. Not possible. Would not play.
All right.
Okay. All right. I'm a legal owner of the DVD, the movie. I'll tell you what, I'll go through the procedure again on my other device. And I'm only going to have it on one device at a time legally.
Right.
It didn't want to do it again.
It only allowed you to do it once.
Yes. So I'm anti. So that's why I'm very hesitant, and I've never purchased any video from iTunes or anything like that, and I'm afraid to. Unless I get an absolute guarantee that I can move that file, not copy, move that file from one device to another and be the legal owner and watch it whenever I want. There's no way. I'm not doing it.
See, you would think there are so many programs out there that make it possible for you to rip your music into your computer, be able to watch it, or listen to your music, I should say. It would be great if they did the same thing with movies, because I'm going to go drop $20. I've got a whole shelf of movies I never watch, but I might watch them a little more if they were part of my iTunes library, and that's just one of the things. The other thing, could I make them? I'd love to be able to do these for my Western Digital. I've got a WD TV to be able to watch them on my big screen and be able to transfer. I know there's got to be a way to do it. The thing is, how do you do it? Unless I buy a digital copy and store it on my WD TV. So again, it's just one of those things that's very frustrating, and especially if you're Windows 7, because a lot of the older programs, like DVDX copy, which I know was one of them that did it, they won't work under that. And now with the new, what they do is they basically become disabled because they no longer fit the letter of the law, and you don't want to break a law. You just want to be able to use your own private collection. And
this goes back to the arguments we had back in the days of vinyl and cassette tape. Remember, the record companies wanted to say it was illegal for you to copy your audio from vinyl records to blank cassettes because we sell copies. You could buy a copy from us.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They tried to put a tariff on cassettes. They may have even done that. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, it's not like you could drive down the road and listen to your album of the greatest hits of ABBA. You know, you got a turntable in your car. So people said, well, I want to take my music with me. That's why cassettes came out, you know, because you could record. So I think they expected everybody to record their own songs of them singing onto their cassettes rather than recording music. Even recording off the air, off the radio was illegal. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, how many times would you do that as a kid and you would get pissed off because the DJ was talking over the song? It's like, shut up, DJ. I want the whole song.
Show you how far back I went with that. I don't know how I wound up with it, but as a kid, when I lived with my great grandparents, I had the little small reel-to-reel recorder. The little reel-to-reels about that big, about 3 inches, I think it was the measurement.
Yeah,
and it was an open. I had one of those, and I used to take the microphone and connect it and hold it up to the speaker of the radio and record Jackson 5, and I go, I got the song.
After many attempts.
Come on to talk to me.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, that wraps up this week of Tech Talk Radio. Great stuff this week. There's some stuff that we have coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're going to talk to the folks that put out Alien Skin. They've got a whole bunch of plugins that can be used with Photoshop. I mean, me being the Photoshop addict, somebody that loves playing with the stuff. It's the new one they have is called Exposure, which is really cool. I've already had a chance to play around with it, and it takes your photos, can add some really neat effects to your photos that maybe you don't want to do in Photoshop, but it'll do it for you. And that makes it a lot easier. So if you're not too familiar with that process. Also, we should be talking to a couple other people that put out some really cool hardware over the next week. And we'll have those interviews for you next Saturday. And, of course, during our Radio Exiles broadcast as well. And, of course, want to thank Justin for his overview of the Vita. I want one of those. I don't know if you got a chance to see the whole video, Slick, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty cool. The alternate reality, he's in the garage, and he's showing you see the garage studio that we're in, but he's playing a game. There's like things flying around the garage, and he's trying to shoot them down. It's pretty darn cool. I don't know if it's worth.
My son Eric wants one of those.
Really? Yeah. I don't know if it's like worth $700, but still pretty cool.
I know Eric, the E-man.
The E-man. I like it. Yeah. All right. Well, have yourselves a great week. Again, check us out at techtalkradio.com. Slick, we can find you on the web all over the place.
Yeah. Just when I get a chance. I haven't been on the web as much as I like to be because I've been busy. I've been working.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Oh, boy. And then Gloria over there in the peanut gallery taking notes. Thank you.
Actually, I'm loading a game.
Which game are you loading?
Slots.
Slots. There you go. We were playing game. I was showing her last night that I recovered everything from my iPod Touch to my iPhone. You can transfer your purchases if you have accounts that are joined on iTunes. You just log out of your one iTunes account, log into the other, and then you can transfer your purchases. And that way, when you log on with your other one, it will transfer those purchases to it because then you're an authorized user. And
keep an eye on Gloria and Scarlett because I got a feeling they're going to be fragging each other pretty soon.
It could be. We already started playing Words with Friends. I played with an old friend yesterday in Chicago, and she just. I'm stupid. Seriously. My score was 100. Hers was 220 when we stopped playing. But that's a nice. It's like if you haven't played Words with Friends yet, it's like a chess game. And so, you can walk away from it for hours and then come back and it's your turn. You go ahead and play. And then it sends them, when they log in to take a look, they say, they played. So it kind of works like that. You're not playing. I thought you had to sit there and play real fast. And no, you just walk away from it. This morning, I fell asleep last night. And this morning I looked at my iPhone. Gloria had gone out last night. So that's what I was doing, is playing Words with Friends. And when she came home and this morning I show her, I go, look. I'm playing a game with Natalie, and look she's winning. I'm stupid.
I barely have time to talk to friends, so playing Words with Friends.
So now Gloria's installed it. So I'm gonna have her play against Natalie because I'm stupid. We'll see if she's smarter than me.
Is she playing as you?
No. I'll let her play. Let her log out and play as me. Oh. That's funny. No, as herself. Anyway, have yourselves a great. We'll keep going. Have yourselves a great week. Be back next Saturday here at Tech Talk Radio for more great stuff. Thanks again. I'm Andy Taylor,
and I'm Slick.